Well, here we are. Um, I didn't necessarily want to make this video. I don't desire to make a video like this. Um, but I feel it in my soul, in my gut, that I have to. Like I have to put it on record and take a risk that I'm sending this to people that I know personally. I'm sending this to family. I'm sending this to friends. I'm sending this to readers, posting it. It's going to be public on YouTube, etc. And it's not something I planned on doing. It's just something that kind of I felt it in my gut to make a video like this and to just be totally honest, totally vulnerable of where I'm coming from. And I want to speak to those who are voting for Trump, are considering voting for Trump, are on the fence about voting for Trump. And I'm also sending this to people who are going to vote third party and people who are going to vote for Harris, and ask that you send it to people who need to hear this. I will not mince words, and you may get angry at me, and that's okay. That's okay. But I want you to hear what I'm saying to you. I want you to hear what I'm saying to you. And I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you to have a Michael Jackson moment and look in the mirror and consider what I'm saying. And I want to make two main points. The first is I want to talk to Christians about this. And I know that many people don't consider me a Christian. I do not use the term Christian for a variety of reasons. If you know me, you know there's a whole backstory to that. But I do take seriously the person that Jesus was. I take seriously the things that he taught. I find value in the lessons that he gave us. I would call him a guru of mine. I would call him a guide, a Sherpa, a teacher. And I take him too seriously than to just not go into this election and speak directly to Christians through the lens of who I see Jesus as. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I was first writing in 2014 and 2015, when I was first getting published and just starting to do things, that was Donald Trump, before Donald Trump. A theologian told me that he believes that I will have this, like the spirit of Bonhoeffer. Like I had that, like to, that it was important for me and my voice to take seriously someone like Bonhoeffer. For those who don't know, Bonhoeffer was a part of the movement that protested German nationalism in the 1930s under Adolf Hitler and Nazism. I'm not saying I'm at all Bonhoeffer, but I think in that spirit, we have to stand in the same way they did. We have to declare and denounce emphatically that the MAGA movement is antithetical to the movement of Jesus. It is antithetical to the Sermon on the Mount. It is antithetical to the fruit of the Spirit. There is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism, whether they hide behind the guise of biblical values or whether they're explicit like the writers of Project 2025. History will look back on this moment in the same way history looks back on the German nationalist moment. Which side are you going to choose to be on? The side of the nationalists, the side of MAGA, or the side of the confessing church and the side of the Barmen Declaration and the Barts and the Bonhoeffers and the Moltmanns? I choose to be on the side that resists using Jesus as a prop for Antichrist measures, for Antichrist policies, for Antichrist doctrines and dogmas, whether political or otherwise. And MAGA is emphatically opposed to the mission of Jesus. MAGA is the easy way out, the the wide gate of the myth of redemptive violence, of the myth of scapegoating marginalized communities. Again, I say there is nothing Christian about this Christian nationalist movement in the same way there's nothing Christian about the German Christian nationalist movement of the 1930s. You can call me all the names in the book about how I've denounced my faith. You can call me all the names in the book about how I've backslidden, about how I'm a heretic, about how I'm an apostate. But you cannot deny that those labels meant nothing to Jesus. What mattered to Jesus was, do you do the things that he asks you to do? I once wrote an article entitled, "If anyone goes to hell, it's the Christians." My point in that was a bit of a rhetorical argument that if we take seriously the parable of the sheep and the goats, those who do the things that Jesus asked him to do, yet might not even know the name of Jesus, are the sheep. The ones who just sing their worship songs and blather on about Jesus, 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 and then don't do the things he asked us to do are the goats. Read the parable again if you need to. I take seriously the teachings of Jesus too much than to let this slide through the election without emphatically putting my foot down and challenging Christians and challenging men. We'll get to that. I want this video to be watched with spouses who might disagree. Jesus said that his message would cause families to not speak, to denounce one another, because Jesus's message is, it might not be just a political one, but it certainly is in a very political context. And you see, this is not about politics. This is not about conservatism. This is not about libertarianism. This is not about whether big government or small government is better. This is not about which economic school of thought, Austrian or otherwise, is better. This is about human to human interaction, human decency, the good as such. Early Christians, though they weren't as persecuted as history has revised, they were still persecuted. They weren't persecuted for sitting on the fence. They weren't persecuted for being quiet in their homes. They were persecuted by the state. Jesus was killed as a political dissident. So we must speak out as Christians in the way Bonhoeffer did and the German Christians did against the German nationalist Christians. Does that sound familiar? We need people who claim Jesus to actually follow Jesus and put your foot down and say, enough is enough. You are the desecration that causes desolation in the church. Christianity is a dead faith if it follows MAGA. The Christianity that comes out of MAGA in the future will be a dead faith, and history will look at it not too kindly. I assure you of that. And before you get upset that I am comparing Hitler to Trump, understand that if we do not study history, We are doomed to repeat it. I'm not saying Donald Trump is 1940s Hitler, but we certainly are seeing MAGA as 1930s Nazism. And at this point, Trump may just be a pawn for the Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation, and the J.D. Vance type of folks. Because when they invoke the 25th, because Donald Trump is mentally incapacitated, which is coming quickly, it will be President Vance who wrote the foreword for the Project 2025 book. So stop saying they don't know anything about it. I am a publisher. I've never once seen a foreword that had nothing to do with the book. I've never once seen the writer of a foreword who did not know anything about the book. So if you take your faith seriously, and it's not just a prop, it's not just a get out of jail free card. If you take it seriously, you take the Sermon on the Mount seriously, you take the Didache seriously, then you cannot support MAGA. In fact, I challenge you that you have to stand up against it. Just like the Confessing Church did in Germany, just like many Christians and people of faith are doing now in this moment. Now, the second point I want to make has nothing to do with faith. It has nothing to do with Christianity. I want to talk to men. Yes, all you alpha males who call me all the slurs in the book. If you will not stand up for women at this point to a man like Donald Trump, what kind of man are you? 26 women have alleged that he has committed sexual assault against them. He has bragged about it. Grab him by the pussy. Women have said, yeah, no, that's what he does. Locker room talk? No, it's verified. That's what he does. He said that he would pop in the changing room of Miss Teen USA pageant. Girls naked in their bras, in their panties, 15, 16, I don't know, teenage girls. Girls my daughter's age. And he could do it because he owned the pageant. He once called Ivanka, his daughter, voluptuous. He said if it wasn't his daughter, perhaps he'd be dating her. He said, of a 10-year-old, I'll be dating her in 10 years. He said this. It has been verified by women. Yes, that's what he does. Yes, that's what he does. Yes, that's what he says. If you are ever going to stand up for women, now's the time. You are not a man if you cannot stand up to this man for the women you claim to love. Every single person that I'm talking to knows multiple women who have been sexually assaulted by disgusting, perverted, predatory men. When will you stand up against that? How can you claim to be a manly man when you will not even stand up to that? You will not even stand up to that puny man when it comes to the women you claim to love. You're gonna just what? Plug your nose and vote for him? You're gonna sit on the fence when he is a predator. He is a sexual predator, alleged many times over, dozens of times over. The court of public opinion is not the court of the law. He is innocent until proven guilty in the court of the law, but the court of public opinion, you know here and you know here what the truth is. And no man should call themselves a man if they will not stand up against that. You're not chivalrous. You're not honorable. This movement where he's getting young men is nothing masculine about that. There is nothing masculine about not standing up for women. There's nothing masculine about not standing up for our daughters. There's nothing masculine about not standing up for our wives. There's nothing masculine about not standing up for our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers. There is nothing masculine about you if you vote for Trump because you won't even stand up to a puny, putrid, deplorable man when it comes to the people you claim to love. So don't talk to me about masculinity and what being a manly man is when you're a cuck. You're a punk ass little bitch. Yes, you who is voting for Trump and will not stand up for him, not stand up to him for the women you claim to love. If that ain't some punk ass bitch shit, I don't know what is. It's disgusting, it's nauseating, and it is not political. You're the partisan hack, not me. I can tell you right now, I would be totally happy with a strong conservative Republican president. Be totally happy with that. There's nothing conservative about this man. There is nothing conservative about him. The party of family values. Who do you think you're talking to? Do you want to be a man? Stand up to this man. As my friend December would say, this motherfucker. You can't stand up to this motherfucker? Cuck. If he wanted to bang your wife, you'd let him. You'd sit in the corner too and like it. And you wanna talk to us about what it means to be a manly man? You wanna talk to us about what it means to be masculine? Get the fuck out of here. You don't know the first thing about masculinity. If you're gonna let this guy, this motherfucker, back into the Oval Office, as you look at the women in your life and say, "Oh, I would protect you if it came down to it." No, the fuck you wouldn't. Why do you think they picked the bear? Oh, wait. Why do you think they picked the bear? Because when it comes down to it, you're not standing up for him. You don't have what it takes. You don't. Not everyone does. You feign masculinity, but you won't even stand up to a little bitch when they come for women. What kind of man are you? I'm dead ass serious about that. What kind of man are you? Go look in the mirror. To quote Hamilton, if you stand for nothing, what do you fall for? The grift that keeps on grifting, huh? The $60 Bibles and the gold sneakers and the NFTs and the Bitcoin ripoffs and on down the bullshit list. But when it comes down to it, you won't go toe to toe with him because he cucked your ass and he made you like it. And he fed you vomit and told you it was filet mignon. You're no better than Ted Cruz. No better than Ted Cruz, who on national television had to hear how Donald Trump called your wife ugly. That is your mascot. Ted Cruz. Ted motherfucking Cruz. That's your mascot. That's who you are. Lion Ted. He wouldn't even stand up to Donald Trump for more than 30 seconds. When on national across to the whole nation said his wife is ugly. I'll be goddamned. Punk ass bitch. Cuck. And then you want to talk to us about what it means to be a man. Yeah, actions speak louder than words, motherfuckers. And you will not go toe to toe with one of the smallest, most insecure human beings we've ever seen. To the point where it's feel bad for that dude. That Donald Trump lived his whole life proving to us that all he wanted was his father to love him and to give him a hug as a child. And he's been reaching for that and searching for that and seeking that and has never found it because he's never looking in the right fucking place. He will always be a miserable motherfucker. And you don't have the fucking balls to stand up to him. So look your wives in the eye, look your spouses in the eye, look your mother in the eye, look your daughters in the eye and say, I am a little bitch and I won't stand up for you. When it comes down to it, I'm going to kiss the ring before I kiss my daughter to bed. When it comes down to it, it's Trump and his 26 women who he sexually assaulted. And it's all the other people that he's talked nasty about. And it's his, you're going to always choose Trump in spite of the fact that he has said he would date his own daughter. In spite of the fact that he said that he would gloat about walking in on Miss Teen You at my daughter's age girls. Imagine that. Imagine the dance studios that she changes in, the competitions we all go to. This dirty, perverted predator walking in there and bragging about the beautiful women in there. You are sick. Don't tell me this is about politics. This is about human decency. And you don't have the balls to stand up for human decency for our women? Don't talk to me about masculinity. And let's go back and let's not talk about Christianity either. You drew the line in the sand when you decided to hitch your wagon to this loser. This bronzed, pathetic, mumbling, stumbling, predatory bully. You think that's the masculine guy? You don't know a goddamn thing about masculinity. So you've got, depending on when you're watching this, a couple of weeks to make a decision about who the fuck you are. Who the fuck are you? What the fuck will you stand for? Are you more mad that I'm using hard language? You should be more mad at yourself that you don't stand for a fucking thing unless you stand up to this. What else will you stand for if you don't stand up to this? Look in the goddamn mirror, butt ass naked, and say, who the fuck am I? And what the fuck am I going to stand for? No one's asking you to be a Democrat. No one's asking you to not hold Kamala Harris's feet to the fire as a candidate and to not critique the government and to not push back when there's something we see as wrong. No one's asking you for that. The only one who's asking for blind allegiance is MAGA, conservative, Trumpian, whatever you want to call it. It's not even conservative. That's the only one asking for devout loyalty. Blind allegiance. Like every despot in history. A dictator wannabe. He'll be a dictator on day. What dictator walks away after one day? Who do you think we are? We're not stupid. Don't be blinded by the gold sneakers. Don't be blinded by the $3 Bibles that he's selling for $60 and including the lyrics to a Lee Greenwood song, and then tell me about whether we need to revere the word of God or not. Don't talk to me about that shit. I know more about that fucking book than every MAGA Christian out there. You don't got a leg to stand on. So who are you going to be right now? Who are you gonna be in this fucking moment? Are you gonna stand up for something? Or are you just gonna kiss the ring of the man who would throw your own mother under a bus if it meant it would benefit him? Who would throw your own spouse under a bus if it meant it benefited him? Who would throw his own daughter or son under a bus if it meant it benefited him? Who are you going to be?